Let me begin this by saying, if you're doing something and it works for you and you enjoy it and it genuinely gives you the results that you want, keep doing it. I wouldn't tell or argue anyone otherwise. Whether that's like a ketogenic diet, low carbs, low fat, vegan, vegetarian, fasting, no sugar, dry January, whatever the hell it is, if it works for you, do it. Meal plans have their place. They can and they have worked for people for a long time, and it'll continue to do so. They can be really useful in demonstrating what your calories or what your macronutrients look like when you give someone those numbers, because otherwise they might not have a clue. So from like a demonstrative point of view, I don't really see an issue with it. And the fact is, some people just work better when they're given the plan, when they're given some structure to work to. They like being told what to do. And again, if it works, there's no problem. But it might not work for someone who's got like, a family, kids and like a partner to cook for. Maybe they're on like a split shift, or their work to work life changes day to day or week to week, and it's not very predictable. That might actually cause them more stress, when you give them like a strict eat this at that time and they can't stick to it. Not to mention like a lack of variety, someone could look at it and immediately think like, oh fuck, this is shit. And that alone can be enough to cause like a lack of adherence to the plan. If it's monotonous or it's repetitive, the likelihood of them sticking to it is already reduced before they've started. But the thing is, you can't take a meal plan away if you're on holiday, or for like a night out, or if you get invited out for a drink, meal, takeaway, whatever it is. And obviously there's some individuals this might not be an issue for, particularly if they're like single, or if it's a couple with really like-minded similar goals and they both live and breathe the gym. That might not be an issue for them whatsoever. And a goal tends to be quite typical, usually something like getting shredded for summer, getting shredded for like a holiday, for a festival. Maybe they're going like down the bodybuilding or physique competition kind of route. That tends to be where people go to, and that's also where like these cliche meal plans come from. The typical oats for breakfast, chicken, rice and broccoli, ground beef, insert cliche. So from like an outsider looking in, they might look at these coaches or those PTs and think, oh shit, that's what I've got to do. If I want to look that good, that's what I've got to do. That's the life I've got to lead. And they tend to forget, these PTs or these coaches, they might even own their own gym. They might live and breathe the gym. It might be all they know. It might be all they do. You just don't know. So when that PT or that coach just hands you that meal plan, you look at it and it looks fucking dry as shit. 1,200 calories. Fuck, that's pretty shit. And they might say to you, well, if you want it bad enough, you'll make it work. Or if you really want it, you'll prioritize. And the other obvious problem is, obviously, if you're on a meal plan, it implies there's a start and there's a finish. But in that sense, again, it can work, because if you know there's going to be an end to it, you might be able to endure it. But having to endure it doesn't really sound that appealing. But again, if you're on a meal plan, it implies you can go off that meal plan. And then how does that make someone feel if they're like, shit, I didn't eat this fucking portion of fruit at the right time, or I went over my calories by a couple hundred? They might just go into like fuck it mode and just eat the entire fridge. Let's say, for example, let's say someone does lose weight on this. They get the result that they want and they look lean and they've done their 8 weeks, whatever, on restricted calories and eating shit food. And let's say again, like a year later, that person looks completely different. They've almost like gone backwards. They've put on all this weight. They might then have this mindset, oh, well, if I want to do that again, I've got to go on this really restricted diet, and I don't really want to do that. And I didn't enjoy it last time, but I'll do it anyway. It's not really a very good cycle to be in mentally, to think that that's what is normal and that's what you have to do in order to look good. And the upsetting thing is, for most people, is like they don't realize that you can eat the foods that you like, you can make it work, you can lose weight, you can look good and get the results that you want and still enjoy it. Which is something that you just don't tend to learn when you just stuck on a meal plan. Just eat this and you'll be fine. If you really want to know what your calories looks like on a day-to-day basis, and you want to get an idea for your macros or your calories, there's a website where it literally tells you for free. You don't have to pay someone. Eatthismuch.com. Type that into your browser and you can pretty much make all the adjustments you want, enter in your calories, your macros, your type of diet, and it'll show you what it looks like. Thing is, again, for the most part, people aren't great at losing weight, and if they can lose weight, they're even worse at trying to keep it off, which is what gets people into this loop and this cycle of going back and paying for something, tell someone to tell them what to do, when you could just teach them once and they could learn to do it for the rest of their life. I think people tend to forget as well, a lot of these fitness people, they're paid to look good. It's in their interest to look lean, to look really good, and to spam photos of them on stage looking all real fucking tanned and greasy. Like, it's in their interest. And like I said before, they'll stockpile these photos and they'll drip feed them out throughout the year, so you think they're looking great shape all year round. When in reality, you shouldn't have to worry about staying the same weight or looking the same all year round. And the most liberating thing and the most rewarding thing about understanding how to incorporate foods that you like is that if you needed to lose weight or you want to lose weight, you know what you have to do in order to achieve that. So like I said, meal plans have their place. I'm not saying they're useless at all. They're great as a reference and they're great as like a teaching tool. But I think in the long run, people will be better off if they learn how to incorporate the foods that they liked and just took at least a week or two to monitor their food intake.